All right, let's talk about one of the most famous machines ever built. I mean, this thing literally changed the world. But what if I told you there's a shocking secret hiding in plain sight? That the very first airplane wasn't just hard to fly, it was basically designed to be unflyable.
I mean, come on, you know this picture. Everybody does. It's Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, December 17th, 1903. This is the moment humanity conquered the skies. You see Orville Wright there, hanging on for dear life for 12 incredible seconds. It's the ultimate symbol of human triumph.
Okay, but what if I told you that pretty much everything about that plane's design was actively trying to make it crash? That from a purely modern engineering standpoint, this famous moment, well, it just shouldn't have been possible.
So how do we know this? Well, fast forward to the 21st century. Researchers actually built a perfect computer simulation of the 1903 Wright Flyer, and when they tried to fly it, the results were honestly staggering. The plane was just wildly, fundamentally unstable, especially its pitch, its ability to just keep its nose from diving into the ground.
And this quote from the study really nails it. It says, the plane required continuous pilot input. Now, that's a very polite, scientific way of saying the pilot had to fight the machine every single second of the flight. It wasn't about steering it gracefully. It was just a desperate battle to keep it from crashing. It was pure survival. So here's the bottom line. This plane did not want to fly straight at all. It wanted to tumble out of the air. The best analogy? It's like trying to balance a tiny marble on the very top of a bowling ball. One tiny mistake, one little twitch, and the whole thing just comes crashing down. So the real question isn't just that they flew. It's how in the world did they manage to fly a machine that was doing everything it could to crash?
Well, the answer lies in understanding who the Wright brothers really were. We have this image of them as a couple of clever bicycle mechanics who just kind of got lucky. But that's not the real story. Not even close. They were something else entirely. You could make a very strong case that they were the world's first true aeronautical engineers. They approached the problem of flight like a science. They weren't just tinkering in a shed. They were systematic inventors. They didn't guess. They calculated, they tested, and they refined over and over again with this incredible discipline. And their process was just brilliant. Step 1, they figured out that control was way more important than power. Everyone else was trying to strap a giant engine to some wings. The Wrights focused on how to steer, which led them to invent wing warping. Step 2, they realized all the existing scientific data on flight was just wrong. So what did they do? They built their own wind tunnel and tested over 200 different wing designs to get their own accurate data. And finally, step 3, and this is the big one, they learned to fly before they built a plane. They spent years perfecting their control system on gliders, so by the time they finally slapped an engine on it, they were already world-class pilots, absolute pros at taming a wild, unstable machine. Okay, so let's go back to those sandy dunes at Kitty Hawk and see how this all really went down, because the story of the first flight, it's not about one day, it's about two. And it all came down to a simple coin toss. Right, so everyone knows December 17th, but the history books almost looked very different. The first real attempt happened 3 days earlier, on December 14th. 2 brothers, 2 attempts, and only one gets to be first in flight. So they flip a coin to see who gets the first crack at it. Wilbur, the older brother, wins. It's his shot at history. He gets into the pilot's position, the little engine sputters to life, and the plane starts moving down the launch rail. And how long did this first historic flight last? A whopping 3.5 seconds. Yeah, it was over almost before it even started, so short it didn't even officially count. And right there, you see that instability we were talking about. Wilbur pulled up just a little too steeply. He overcorrected, and because the plane had zero desire to fly straight, it just shot upwards, lost all its speed, and slammed right back down into the sand. A total failure. And it was all because of how unruly that machine was. So, they spend the next 3 days making repairs. Now it's Orville's turn. And he manages to stay up for 12 seconds. Now, I know, 12 seconds doesn't sound like a lot, but when you compare it to Wilbur's 3.5, it was practically an eternity. So let's go back to that famous photograph, but look at it with new eyes this time. This is not a picture of a perfect airplane soaring gracefully into the sky. No way. This is a picture of an incredible pilot using all those years of glider practice to basically wrestle a bucking bronco of a machine into the air for just long enough to make history. It's a total triumph of human skill over a deeply flawed but absolutely revolutionary design. But for the Wright brothers, just surviving a flight wasn't enough. They wanted to build a practical airplane, something people could actually use. And to do that, they had to fix that core instability problem. They had to finally tame the beast they'd created.
And the thing that finally pushed them to do it, you guessed it, another really bad crash. This time it was 1905. Orville was flying, and it was a bad one. It basically forced them to go back to the drawing board and completely rethink the design, especially the front elevator that controlled the plane's pitch. Okay, so take a look at the two planes side by side. On the left, you've got the original 1903 Flyer. On the right, the new and improved 1905 model. Now, at a glance, they look pretty similar, right? But the changes they made were small, subtle, and completely brilliant.
So here's what they did. First, they made that front elevator, the part they called a canard, way bigger, almost double the size. Then they moved it much, much further forward, away from the main wings. In engineering speak, this cranked up the pitch damping. But all that really means is it made the plane less twitchy. It gave the pilot more control, more leverage. It just made the thing easier to fly. And just look at the results. This chart says it all. The 1903 Flyer, unstable. Its longest flight ever was 59 seconds. The 1905 Flyer, way more stable. Its longest flight, over 39 minutes. Think about that. They went from under 1 minute to almost 40 minutes in the air. That's not just an improvement, that's a complete game changer. And that is the leap that truly created their legacy. See, it stopped being about just getting off the ground for a few seconds. Now it was about actually mastering the sky.
And here it is, the 1905 Flyer in all its glory. This machine right here, built from all those hard lessons, all those crashes, this is what experts now agree was the world's first truly practical airplane.
I mean, this thing could do it all. It could bank, it could turn, it could fly in circles, even do figure eights, and stay up for over half an hour at a time. This wasn't that chaotic 12-second struggle anymore. This was real, controlled, sustained flight. They had finally done it.
So when you think about it, the Wright brothers' real genius wasn't just inventing the airplane on that one day in 1903. What they really invented was a barely flyable prototype. Their true brilliance was in what came next, that relentless, methodical process of improving it, of iterating. They took an idea that was impossible, made it barely possible, and then, crash by crash, test by test, they refined it into something that changed everything. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What modern impossible problem out there right now is just waiting for that same kind of approach to finally crack it?